Some more introductions are in order, I suppose?
Sebastian and I spent the rest of dinner talking, and what can I say? We just clicked. Sebastian Sallow had that rare kind of charisma that could make you spill your deepest secrets within minutes. There was something about the way he spoke, so animated, so effortlessly confident, that made me want to tell him everything. And so I did. He was particularly interested in my upbringing, half muggle, half wizard. His questions weren't prodding, just genuinely curious. In return, he offered pieces of his own story. I never felt interrogated, only understood. His parents, both professors, had died when he was only a child, poisoned by an undetectable toxin. To this day, no one knew how or why it had happened. He and his twin sister Anne had been raised by their strict Uncle Solomon in a small village in the Scottish Highlands, not far from Hogwarts. It sounded like the perfect villain origin story. But Sebastian wasn't bitter. He was sharp-witted and dangerously curious, the kind of person who could turn anything into an adventure.
If you want to get the most out of your time at Hogwarts,
He declared smugly.
you're going to have to break the rules every now and then.
I wasn't sure if he felt the same immediate trust toward me as I did toward him, but one thing was clear. I couldn't wait to follow him into trouble. Still, I couldn't help but wonder, if I weren't a Carve, would he have taken such an interest in me? Probably not, but I didn't care. For now. It was obvious Sebastian was fascinated by my family name and the legends surrounding it. I had never cared for those stories. My mother had spent years trying to escape that legacy, the obsession with blood status, the rigid traditions. Even though Sebastian claimed he couldn't care less about blood purity, his ends justify the means philosophy was hard to ignore. His words carried conviction. He spoke with the kind of passion that made you believe him, even when you knew you shouldn't. No one was going to stand between him and his beliefs. Now that is a true Slytherin, I thought. How had I ended up here? I felt like half the person he was.
You'll certainly be the talk of the week.
He remarked.
It's not something that happens frequently, you know. Someone joining as a fifth year.
Then, with a mischievous gleam in his eyes.
But don't worry, I'll show you the best parts of Slytherin.
Ominous, however, had already left, not saying a single word since our introduction.
I see you're already in good hands.
Professor Weasley had arrived at the Slytherin table, surveying us with a knowing look as the great hall emptied around us.
Mr. Sallow, can I assume you'll escort your new classmate to the common room safely, without detours?
She gave him the kind of look one gives a cat after finding it next to a shattered vase. Sebastian's expression was the very picture of innocence.
Yes, of course, Professor.
Very well.
She turned to me.
Ms. Carve, I hope you'll adjust well to Slytherin. You'll receive your timetable at breakfast tomorrow. If you need anything, my door is always open.
Thank you, Professor. She gave me a warm nod and moved toward the Gryffindor table. The moment she was out of earshot, Sebastian and I burst into giggles.
I can't believe a professor actually trusts me with something.
He said as we exited the Great Hall.
With my detention record, no less.
I raised an eyebrow. And does that mean I should be worried?
Not at all.
He said, grinning so wide his eyes nearly disappeared.
Usually, I'd take this opportunity to introduce you to the prefect's bathroom. There's a stunning bathtub in there. But I think that adventure can wait. I've eaten so much, I'll probably pass out on the stairs.
He shot me a look, clearly waiting for a reaction. I just stared at him, reminding myself that I'd spent hours memorizing the prefects' faces. His, obviously, wasn't among them. I chuckled nervously, flustered at his offer. But before the heat could rise to my face, I blurted out the first thing I could think of. "Where is Ominous?" I asked, glancing down the corridor, anything to hide my flushed cheeks. Sebastian followed my gaze, then shrugged.
No idea. He's probably already in the common room. He can be antisocial sometimes.
He said it with amusement, but I sensed an underlying truth. Ominous kept his distance. As we walked, Sebastian continued.
I've already sifted through every spellbook in the library and found a few interesting things. Still, not quite what I was looking for.
His voice dropped slightly.
I'm sure you will find out soon enough. but not every spell you may need can be found in our assigned textbooks.
I stopped. Are you saying there are spells that aren't taught at Hogwarts? He smiled the question away.
Seems like I might have met a kindred spirit.
And with that, he changed the subject.
I have no idea how Beauxbaton compares to Hogwarts.
He said, as we descended another staircase.
But who knows? Maybe I'll kick your ass in defense against the dark arts.
I scoffed. Doubtful. That's always been one of my best subjects. It was true. Dada had always come naturally to me, maybe because it was practical, personal. Sebastian let out a chuckle.
We'll see, won't we?
Finally, we stopped in front of a bare stone wall. I blinked. This is it? He gestured grandly.
Our common room. The coziest, the prettiest, simply the best. Not that I've seen the others.
He lowered his voice mockingly.
The password is aspiration. A bit dramatic, don't you think?
Cheesy, I agreed. He said the password again,
Aspiration.
loud and clear, and I recoiled as the floor suddenly shifted. A massive stone snake slithered up the wall in a circle, revealing an arched doorway. I smiled, determined to hide my astonishment. Cute. Sebastian looked scandalized.
Cute. Come on, this is cool.
I laughed, stepping forward, noticing the flickering green light from within. It's beautiful, I admitted. And so we entered,